So, hey, what's up? It's August 18th. We're here talking about the first week of August, actually, when we were in the state of Washington. We got to see Mount Rainier, Myrtle Falls. We got to see Mount St. Helens. We went into Olympia and up into Olympic National Park. So
Port Angeles,
saw some whales, all that kind of cool stuff. So, welcome to epoch48.
Introduction?
It
Just seemed longer than what you wanted.
That's about what you did. So we drove up out of Oregon after we got our new tires and kind of treaded lightly up into Washington.
We treaded lightly. We had new tires. Why would we have to tread lightly?
Because it was still weird. It still feels weird. I still feel like I hear that sound as we're driving.
We crossed the Washington state line on a bridge, so we don't have a picture of us in front of it, but we have it on the bridge.
But it was up over the Columbia River, and there was a ton of logging going around in the areas. Just tons and tons of trees along the river there. It was pretty interesting. And then we made our way up into Randall, Washington. Which was an interesting little campground. Shady firs.
It was nice. It was, well, yeah.
The people were nice. It was interesting, though. It's definitely redneck nation. But the campground was really nice. It had big trees and...
No, nobody was there. Well, there was 2 people there when we got there, 2 other people. And then the next day they left, so we were there for like 3 days we were the only ones camping.
It was kind of sad, though. The owners, the lady owner, her sister had actually died the day we showed up, somewhere in Oklahoma. And then her son, I think the same day actually, was in the hospital. And before we left, I had asked about him, and apparently he wasn't doing really well. So I don't know what happened with that, but kind of a sad situation for the owners there.
Then we went to Mount Rainier. Which was pretty cool. We did the walk up Myrtle Falls. So it was a little waterfall. And then the kids did their ranger badge there, so we learned about that volcano. And I think this one thing we all took away from it is that it's so big that it creates its own weather system, which is interesting. And I think it gets is this a place where it gets 30 feet of snow?
Something like that, I think.
Every winter. We met some cool people at the campground at Shady Firs, Eldon and Gina, and he was giving us some stories, of his time. He's hiked it 11 times, just not all the way to the top. And he got kind of stranded there once overnight, but he made it out fine. And it was interesting. It was very beautiful too. And we got to see a lot of people. I guess it's always covered in clouds. So the day we went up, it was just crystal clear blue sky.
Yeah, we looked up to the top of the peak and you could see a group of people trying to summit.
Yeah.
They looked like
on the snow.
Not even ants. They look smaller than ants up in the horizon.
So that was cool. Yeah.
Yep.
And then people were telling us they weren't telling us don't go to Mount St. Helens, but they're like, it's not as cool as it used to be because there's so much growth coming back. When did it erupt? 1980. May 18th, 1980. And so they're like, so you don't see as much of the devastation, so it's not the coolest place to go. But we thought, well, we're here, so let's go. And I'm glad we went. It was really, I can't remember what side we went on.
We were on the east side.
Oh, the east side.
Yep. So the observatory's on the north, and we were on the east, and we had met some people from England who were over at the observatory, and they had been out, I think, 15 years earlier. But they said the view from up the east side was actually a better view. You're closer to it, and you can actually see in the crater a little bit better. So that's pretty cool to find out. We were on Windy Ridge or something like that up in there, and then down just to the north where we were was Spirit Lake, where basically all the debris from the explosion went down into the lake, and the lake actually rose I think almost 200 feet, yeah. And the guy who lived up there, his name was Harry Truman, but he wasn't the president.
It was Harry R. Truman,
yeah.
Not Harry S. Truman.
He had a lodge up there forever, and he knew that volcanoes had erupted. Everybody, they gave evacuation orders. But he said, I've lived my life here, and I'm not going to leave now. And ended up going down with the ship. And
ended up being like 175 feet below because of all the water. Yeah.
So his lodge and him itself are buried deep below, somewhere near Spirit Lake now. So.
You see all the logs still.
They call them log islands.
And I didn't know it looked like beach, and it was just all the logs, and they shift around and they still move, but it's still from all the timber that got washed away. And then we found somebody, or Eldon at the campground, had told us about the burned out cars you could see, and we hadn't seen any, but on the way back we actually saw it. It's called the miner's car, and it was about this couple. It was them and their nephew. Well, no, it was them and their nephew, and they went up to their cabin. So they parked it there, and they had to hike up the hill to the cabin, and they parked it there 3 days before the eruption happened, and so they didn't make it out alive. But the car is still there, and it's just rusted and like crumpled, and it was more not from the debris but from all the gases and the force of the just the explosion, explosion part. But it's still sitting in the battery of the car, and it's just in the same spot where they had parked. It's called the miner's car. So so the kids got to see that, which was kind of cool. Then you get to see some of the devastation.
Then we went down to Iron Creek Falls. Which was just on the way back out, and that's pretty cool. It's just a nice little waterfall and a little cool area where water was running through. It was pretty down there. But we were all pretty tired, I think, so we didn't spend much time there.
But it was nice. The people were nice. It wasn't one of the.
It's not a resort.
It's not a fancy facility, but nice people, and so we were.
It was probably high 90s there, and since the shade was, so abundant there, it didn't even feel that hot.
We did an outdoor movie night. Yeah. We did that, so that was fun, and then we went off to
Olympia.
We stayed there one night.
So we actually stayed north of Olympia in some casino, because it's the only RV park I could find.
We didn't stay in the casino. We stayed in the RV park at a casino.
Yeah. It's a ladybug on the GoPro.
Bella just noticed a ladybug on the GoPro.
I have 2 ladybugs.
So we did not stay at the casino, and we didn't gamble, and the kids didn't gamble either. But we did go. They went swimming.
We went down to the Capitol. It's a pretty area. They had a nice park and a fountain in front of the. A fountain in the park, and then they had obviously the Capitol. The Capitol is a cool building. It looked really kind of old, yeah, because the
antique.
I don't know if it's the granite or marble or whatever it was weathered, but it was pretty cool. Egypt. Then we did a ton of shopping.
Well, yeah, food.
No, we went to Home Depot.
Well, yeah, so when we weren't like clothes shopping, I'm like, let's go buy furniture. It was just this necessities. Well, I know, I'm just, you know what? People think I'm out. I didn't shop. We got food and Home Depot supplies, air compressor.
Yep.
We learned.
We didn't stay long at the casino.
Huh?
Or the RV resort at the casino.
Well, we were only supposed to be there one night.
Yeah, so we went up to Olympic National Park, and basically Port Angeles is actually Elwha Dam. So we're at Elwha Dam. It's a pretty cool RV park. The owners were really nice. We talked to one of the guys there probably for half hour, 45 minutes about.
Well, the guy, not one of the guys. I mean, the owner.
The owner.
Him and his wife own it.
But we talked to the male, the husband. Anyway, for about 45 minutes, and he, told us a lot about it and his experience, and that was fun. So we pulled into the RV park probably around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and then we tried to figure out what we were going to do for the rest of the week, basically. So I started looking around at what you could do. We had heard Eldon mention a ferry ride over to
San Juan.
The San Juan Islands. So I started looking at that, and whatever. And then I came across whale watching tours, and I started looking at when they were scheduled for and everything, and found out there was one about 45 minutes from when I was looking. So
it was more like 35.
Well, it was 45 when I found it.
Oh.
So then I talked to Carrie about it, whatever, and we decided that we were going to go. And we had by the time I made the reservation online, I think we had about 25 minutes to get down there. So we hustled, got everything together, got the pets taken care of, whatever. Got the backpack and the binoculars.
It was a 5-hour boat tour as well, so we were going to be gone the rest of the night.
So we jumped in the truck and got down there with probably about 5 minutes to spare.
Well, first we went to the wrong building.
Well, and then they showed us where to go, and then I had to find a place to park while everybody else went out and made sure they knew we were not going to miss it. So anyway, we got on the boat with about 5 minutes to spare.
They clapped.
Yeah.
They clapped. The deck mate said, "Hey, when he comes down the ramp, let's all clap for him," because he was holding us up.
And I took a bow.
He bowed.
So So it's cool. So we took off from, I don't know what that bay, well, it's obviously Port Angeles. And we went past a bunch of big old, huge tankers that apparently help fill the cruise ships up when they're filling.
And we saw cruise ships.
Yeah, we saw a bunch of cruise ships, and we went out to, I don't know, into the bay.
We also saw a ferry.
We
We saw the ferry, yep.
And then Victoria, Canada.
Yeah, we
was
saw
right.
Yep, off in the distance to the north. San Juan's,
I don't know what the other stuff was.
all that other stuff. And we followed the whale for quite a while, and he probably surfaced probably 15 times or something. I don't know.
That's cool.
Yeah. So anyway, we saw the whales. That was cool. And then the what's it called? The captain said he wanted to go over to that island.
It means captain.
He wanted to go over the island because he hadn't seen the sea lions in a while. So
Yeah, we saw the sea lions, which are pretty cool. They're big, fat, blubbery things, which were so cute. It was pretty darn cold.
I mean, there's probably
on the deck.
there's probably like, I don't know, 50 or 100 of them on that.
Sea
island
lions?
there. Yeah,
I thought you
right?
meant people on the boat.
No.
There was like 40 of us on the boat. But yeah, there was a lot. But I wasn't done talking about how freezing cold it was on the deck and going into the wind and chattering. And by the time we got back, I actually had, was it cramps or pain? I had tensed up so hard that trying to relax hurt. So I had to stay stiff for a while because I was so cold and I shivered so much. And
We also got a cookie, hot chocolate, and we also got some whale books.
they got,
Yeah, on the way back we decided not to freeze completely and went inside, and yeah, they had hot chocolate and cookies and different books, and then they showed a slideshow from the pictures they took.
And
But-
also at that whale trip, we also saw the mouth of the whale.
yeah, that was pretty cool. That's a huge creature.
Yeah, we got some good pictures.
And to be able to see, and then you could see its fluke when it would deep dive, and that's always just the coolest part of seeing a whale, is when he goes down and you see this big thing. So that was cool.
We also,
It was it was unexpected, and sometimes it's fun to do that, and it turned out really well.
Sorry. So anything Charlie plans technically is usually unexpected.
Because planners for planners.
Whatever, yeah. Which would be me.
Because planners, planes. Exactly, thank
Yeah.
you.
And then what happened to Custer?
oh,
Yeah, he died, and so did over 200 of his men because of that attitude.
Well,
So
speaking of Custer, so we left. Oh, no, never mind.
that's in a totally
That was a long
different
time
state.
and
So Port Angeles, though, when we went up to Olympic National Park, Scout got his ranger badge.
Mm-hmm.
We had to do an hour-long meadow walk.
It was Hurricane Ridge.
Some of these places you go and they just fill out their book, and they might have to sit and listen to a ranger for 10 minutes, talk about something, and then they sign it, which it's not bad that you have to do work for it. But we go up there and we wanted to go do this hike sort of as a family, but we kind of were there later in the day, if I remember right.
It took a while to get up there.
Yeah, because there was road construction. And so we go up to see, it was required that they do this ranger program so he can get his badge. So we're like, okay, so we go back at 2 when they say it is. And it's a 1-hour meadow walk. Okay, and then not that that's bad, but 1 hour. So you have all these families up there doing things and taking time on hikes. And so Charlie and Bella, we didn't know it was going to be an hour-long thing. They went off to go film something from a hike we were just on, and they came back and we were gone. There was no service. I could tell them we were just gone for an hour, and I had to go on a meadow walk, which was fine. The ranger Taylor, do you remember her?
Yeah,
She was very nice, and she did wonderful. She knows a lot about it. She's very passionate about it. I just felt like the meadow walk was really geared towards 2-year-olds, so it was really hard to spend the whole hour having to go and do that kind of stuff. But whatever, it is what it is. He got his ranger badge, and that was cool, and it was pretty. And it was it was cool. And it was, when we went to the tide pools, wherever that was, Rock Salt.
It was Salt Creek recreation area, yeah.
Whatever.
It was a little different because we missed it. We came down from Hurricane Ridge, and we were going to go to a waterfall. I forget the name of it, but because we ran out of time because of the walk, we went down to the tide pools down at Salt Creek, which is only 20 minutes from our RV park.
Oh yeah, so
And we missed the tides a little bit. It was kind of in between low and high tide, so we didn't get to see as much as we probably could have, but it was still pretty cool.
yeah, no, and it wasn't. There was a lot of big rocks, so the kids could go out on it. And so I have a 13-year-old daughter who's so smart. She's like so wise.
97th percentile.
Setting test exams. Anyway, he has her in college. Anyway,
No, this is that.
they go out and first of all, my kids never want to go in the water. We're like, bring some. I don't want to go in the water.
Too cold.
It's too cold. And then next thing you know, they're literally in their fully clothed, like in the water, laughing and
parkas,
playing, which is fine.
Well, parkas is a Bronco.
But fine. But the thing is we know they're going to want to get in, but they never think, I don't want to. So anyway, we're down at the tide pools, and they're in, and they're like 300 yards away from us. They're climbing out on the rocks,
they
which is
just
cool.
waded out, and then there was like a rock outcropping, and it's like,
So
they're way
they're
out there.
which is totally fine. But then it's like, I'm screaming for them to come back, and they can't hear me anymore. So when I'm like waving them down, I was like, come back, so they finally stop. So
I don't know if they ever saw. I think they just decided
she
to
saw.
come back.
Bella saw, because then she stopped. You saw me telling you guys to come in. So then they come back, and my daughter, she's just, oh my gosh, she's so smart. My daughter, knowing it's tide time.
High tide.
They're coming in, they're going out. She takes her brand new shoes off and sets them on a little tiny rock in the middle of the ocean.
I know. I came back. I'm like,
And her shoes are floating down
I lost my
the
socks.
Pacific Ocean.
And her sock.
And her socks. We lost both her socks. We have no idea.
No, I
And
think
so,
she found one sock.
no, she didn't find any. We are so sorry, State of Washington, for littering and polluting.
Hopefully that whale.
Our junior rangers are polluting. So
I didn't do that.
her socks are missing, and
Whales.
her shoes are floating down.
I had a walk-in cow.
And I see her, she's like, oh, my shoes.
Like the next cruise ship went by looking for whales, and there's like this pink sock on the fluke.
Hey, they were black. They were black.
So anyway, my daughter. But I'm like, there's a whole shore. Go ahead and put the shoes there. But she put them on. She's like, well, there was a little rock. I mean, a little rock in tide.
I thought
You
it
weren't
was
thinking.
like so deep, and so I'm like, I couldn't go across over those rocks, and I could. So yeah, I did what I had to do.
Part of the reason we had to leave early from Washington and didn't have one more day like we normally would in Washington is because the drive to Montana was so stinking long. So we actually had to leave the national park a day earlier than we wanted to, and we drove all the way into Spokane, which was like
Spokane,
which was I don't know.
12-hour drive.
It was a long drive.
It was long, but it was, and that also, the state sign was over an overpass, so we couldn't, got it on the way out, but not on the way in.
Yeah, it was like coming through the.
That was cool.
But that was going into Montana.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
When we crossed over into Montana, because you were saying we left. But Spokane was a very nice place. Downtown Spokane looked really cool.
Yeah, we
older buildings. We didn't do anything. No.
We just drove by.
And the KOA was nice too. It was huge, but it was nice. They went swimming, and but it was Washington was great. It was green. It was lush.
The weather
it
was nice.
Dense. I loved all the trees. The humidity was nice. It wasn't hot. And then once we left, it got hot. Now we're back in the 100. Spokane.
It's a desert,
Washington.
so it was hot.
It's a pretty state. I honestly, you hear Oregon and Washington, and you just think, meh. I don't know why. You just
Because
do.
everybody always talks about how it's always dreary and rainy.
Yeah, that's true. Because
Seattle's like that.
My grandma's sister lives there. But both of those states were beautiful. At least where we went.
Yeah.
Not everywhere is going to be that way. But even the capitals, like Salem. Portland, driving through Portland was beautiful. I liked them, and it'd be nice to go back when there isn't all the wildfire heat. What I liked about Port Angeles, so I can see why my mother-in-law's mother liked it there, is that it feels like you're in the mountains, but you're right by the ocean. And then you have the humidity, the cool weather, and it was beautiful. It was a beautiful place. Yeah. It feels like everything's.
So a week was too short. We'll have to go back. We saw a little bit of haze, but it wasn't quite as bad as Oregon.
Yeah.
And we're off to Montana.
No.